Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser. I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. We're talking about what books that I'm gonna read and be far behind on anyway on this week's new comic book day. So to see what makes the list and what I think you should read along with me, we'll check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
First of all, if you're wondering what all this stuff is behind me, go back and watch and follow the 2 instructions in the description on how to enter the 1,250 subscriber giveaway. And we will be giving these items away on July the 7th, our first shop talk of the month of July. The other thing that I forgot to mention in yesterday's video that I'll mention right now is a huge thank you to my good friend and member of the Mixed Collectors family, Judd. Judd saw my posts about my dying computer and trying to sell this, that, and everything to get a new computer up and running, and he said, let me see what I've got, let me refurbish the device, get you up and running so you can be functional, since my decade-old Mac is almost 1,000,000% dead. That I'm still trying to get a couple of videos and a bunch of stuff that I stupidly didn't back up to the cloud off of it. So yesterday was the inaugural video on the new machine. Today is the second video, the first weekly pull on the new device. But I want to say thank you so very much, Judd. That unexpected act of kindness that came out of nowhere baffled me, and again, it picked me up as I was in my end of the school year kind of panic, and then, you know, as I was trying to figure out how I would do everything that I wanted to do this summer without a computer. So thank you very much, Judd. You're another example as to why this community is awesome and has given me gifts, you know, physical gifts, mental gifts, social, emotional gifts, things that I want to make sure I do my best to continue to pay those things forward. But no more of this sappy business. Let's talk books. Alright, so like I said, I am 3 weeks behind in terms of picking up books, so we'll see if there are books that I've missed in the gap where I'm like, well, I got 2 books to read. But thankfully, while I'm at the National Speech and Debate Tournament next week, I'm going to take a full short box of comics with me to read and get caught up. So, start of the list is Amazing Spider-Man number 3. When Jelly and I talked about ASM number 1 on Shop Talk, we were both cautiously optimistic that there were a couple of weird elements, what felt like a couple of odd pieces of some lazy writing, but I was intrigued to see Tombstone as the villain. Clearly, I missed a book in my 3-week exodus from not buying books, so you know that Spider-Man is going to be towards the front of my get caught up pile, because I really enjoyed how the previous run ended. You know that they're teasing that something is going to happen in Legacy issue 900, so I can't wait to see what they're building for in 3 more issues after this one. Next up from Valiant is Archer and Armstrong Forever number 2. I really enjoyed the first issue of this series, kind of showing you the 2 characters in terms of Archer and Armstrong and their relationship, playing with Archer trying to rediscover the secret to immortality because Armstrong is more open to threats than he has been at any point in the past, that, you know, they're going to look for the Fountain of Youth, they're going to look for all kinds of things to help make Armstrong live forever, and I'm excited for this book. Next up is Batman number 124. Is this the first Zdarsky book, or is it the end of Williamson? I don't know. That's why we're clicking on it. It's towards the end of Williamson's run after the Shadow War stuff just wrapped up, so we'll see. I need to actually look and see what book number Zdarsky's first issue is on this, because I keep going like, is this the first one? And forget to check. Next is Batman Beyond Neo Year number 3. I've enjoyed the way that It set up Lumos as the villain, the way that we kind of see Batman Beyond playing as an individual stuck between two worlds, and I really like seeing the potential change that could be coming with Barbara Gordon stepping down as the commissioner. So I'm intrigued to see how all of these elements have come together. That, like I said, Neo Year is kind of bringing back good elements of Batman Beyond that I feel like I've missed from my childhood. Every time I unbox something and I see a massive stack of 90s Image comics online in an auction on Whatnot, in the Madhouse, on, the Cookie Man's auctions, any of those things, that I'll buy it. So clearly I'm going to buy Cyberforce #1, the commemorative edition. That's a no-brainer. Next is Dark Knights of Steel #7. Again, this is the fantasy kind of retelling of elements of the Justice League coming together and being at odds with one another. I've enjoyed this series thoroughly. I like that we're getting some dragon action going on. So let's go. Next up is DC Pride 2022 #1. Happy Pride Month to all of my friends across the queer identity spectrum. It is a good time to celebrate who you are, love is love, and, those of us that can find ways to support changing the attitudes towards the LGBTQ plus community. We gotta, keep rolling up our sleeves and going to battle as good allies, but I'm excited to see this single issue that focuses on elements of queerness in the DC universe. Next up from Aftershock is Dogs of London #2. I think issue #1 was on my weekly picks list, that I think it was my 3rd or 4th favorite book of the week that week. I'm really intrigued to see what happens with the bodies that seem to be age preserved and dug from their graves 30 years later, to see how this affects the dogs. I'm intrigued by the Romeo and Juliet story going on between two of the love interest characters, so I'm excited for this one. Next up from AWA Upshot is ETER #2, and I feel like it's been 6 months since #1 came out, so I thought this was going to be a monthly title, but clearly you see in the first sentence of the description that it's a medical anthology, so I guess if we get one of these quarterly, I'll kind of enjoy these odd tales of the alien hospital. Next up is Fortnite X Marvel Zero War #1. I have no idea why I'm pulling this. Maybe it's just because Deadpool. Is that Deadpool on the cover? No, that's Spider-Man. I don't know why I'm pulling this. I've played Fortnite once and was quite terrible at it, and then deleted it from my phone. So, we'll see. Next up, I'm very excited about Jane Foster and the Mighty Thor. You can see that by the fact that I'm picking up the A cover, the Carnero Stormbreakers variant, and the Peach Momoko variant to this, that, I've mentioned when talking about Love and Thunder that I'm excited to see Jane Foster Thor come into the MCU. I've been enjoying the Jane Foster Valkyrie and the Mighty Valkyries titles, so I want to see what it looks like with these two together. Next up, we've got, some of our X-Men books. We've got Legion of X #2 and Marauders #3. I think I've missed one or both of these. I'm still getting caught up in my X-Men world. I literally have a foot-high stack of X-Men books to read. Next up is Metal Society #2 from Image Top Cow. This is our Blade Runner meets Robot Fight Club. So I enjoyed this. I want to see what happens in the continuation of this. This is also Zach Kaplan, who I enjoy a lot. Next up is Monkey Prince #5. We've been kind of harsh on how this series has taken turns, and I forgot to drop it from my pull, and as a completionist, I'll pick up, I think it's a 6-issue mini, so we'll see if it gets better. Next up from Mad Cave Studios is Potions Incorporated #1. I wrote about this story on the blog. I have a short where I got sent a Potions Incorporated potion, the business card where you can call the stand, but this is going to be a dope quest story for you all to definitely check out. Speaking of quest story from Vault Comics, we've got Quest Aside #2. I really enjoyed the first issue of looking at all of the different kind of fantasy, like tabletop role-playing tropes that came together for this one. I want to see what happens, you know, with the threat of the king shutting down the bar. Next up, we've got Savage Avengers #2. We were a mixed bag in terms of what we thought happened in terms of Savage Avengers #1, that the jump back to the Hyborian Age to, you know, Conan's home was a very interesting turn, that there was a lot going on in issue #1. We know when we interviewed David about the series that, you know, he kind of alluded to big plans going on. So I want to see if the chess match that he's setting up becomes more evident as we work along or work through the series. And this Jenny Frison variant is just amazing with Cloak and Dagger. I just want to stare at that one. Alright, next up from Image Comics is That Texas Blood #14. We are getting the beginning of a new story arc. We are now jumping from, what was it, the late 70s, early 80s into 1992. I was real wishy-washy by the end of the first arc that I think I was one of the few people reading That Texas Blood who did not like the way that it ended. But good God, that second arc was amazing. So I'm excited to see how the third arc begins. Next up is Thor 26. This is part 4 of the Banner of War, so I think I've now missed 2 books in the Thor versus Hulk saga that I read the Alpha book, and then I think it was Thor that came up next. So I'm guessing a Hulk book is part 3, so we'll get caught up on this one. But the book that I'm probably the most excited about is Twig #2. You heard how much we all loved it when we talked about it on Shop Talk the week that it came out. That I think that Kyle Strahm and Scotty Young are together for just an amazing fantasy tale that I still think has the likes of being a Kanto-esque kind of force in the genre. Last 2 books, Venom #8. I think I'm an issue behind on Venom, that I think I missed one in my almost month of not picking up books. And then the last book from Aftershock is We Live, Age of the Palladians #3. I've enjoyed kind of the second wave of the We Live storyline, so I want to see what happens, if there is truth or not to the vision the Oracle has seen. I think the book that I'm missing from my pull list that I hope there's still at my shop, I think Closet #1, another new James Tynion book comes out this week, so I'm going to try and get those. But are there other books that I forgot? Are there other books that I've missed in my last couple of weeks of not paying attention to my pull list or picking up books that I should grab from my LCS? Please, 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 please let me know in the comments down below. No poser pile this week because I gotta spend like $300 at my shop from missing a couple of weeks, but we'll get caught up on those when I get back from vacation. But most definitely go back to yesterday's video and go comment on the 2 things necessary to get your guaranteed or extra entry, if you are a channel member, into the 1,250 subscriber giveaway. As always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.